Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Ola.
Hi, Ola. Sorry I'm late.
Ola, everything I think that we've got to now is for 20 routes, right?
Yes.
And then everything, and then we still have this much left over, or like $1,000 left.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my question is, what do we do with that?
Bolting.
I grew up in Mumbai, in India, and at age 17, I moved abroad. I got so into the climbing mindset that I moved whole scale my entire life to China, and I worked as a climbing guide for 2 years. That's why I met Ola, actually. She's sleeping. This was my alarm to come get you from the bus stop.
That's cool, I think.
I've been climbing for 20 years this year and developing routes for 11. I've been connected to climbing in Asia for quite many years. I lived kind of close by in China for quite some time. I've been familiar with Badami climbing and India climbing. 2 months ago exactly, I met Shivaun here. She was doing another event, and we got this idea of pushing this place a little bit forward and develop it a little bit more and use the potential that it has to make it more accessible for more people, attract more people to the place.
I first met Ola actually really recently, last year, that's December 2022. She came for Claw. We're trying to set up and empower women in different cities so that all of us can continue this work together and get more women and empower more women together. Shivaun sort of approached me and asked me, hey, my friend who's super experienced happens to be in Badami. So can we have her come and, you know, be a part of it, interact with the women and give a presentation?
We were just sort of having multiple conversations about how nice it would be to see more women in the climbing development space in India. But she also inspired all of us organizing the event to be like, wait, what's next on our journey? You know, obviously we're organizing a lot of events for more women to get into climbing, but the women already existing in climbing are also on their own journey. I think Ola was someone who like pushed us to like think about why or why not. No, we're waiting here for you with the camera.
Wait, start it again.
I love Tanvi. She's really goofy and she really brings like great humor to anything that's happening. And so she brings out this really like, you know, fun element in everything and makes us all laugh.
I didn't stop. I was just like drinking coffee. That's the heaviest drill. That's why I was like, why are we using this shit drill? See, I'm not carrying this short.
The whole plan of having a course for people to do so they can learn, and after that having an open initiative where all boulders from around India and the world can come down. It just happened step by step, but it started with the simple idea of let's go and bolt a few lines.
People who come for course, there are people who eventually would take the drills and drill by themselves. And by joining this course, we can go through mistakes or like certain ways to do it as safe as possible. It's all a community effort that is also a very pleasure thing to do. In this course, our objective is to go through many things like theoretical classes that are going to be here. Then we're going to have practical classes at the crag or a little bit outside. We're going to try to bolt and so on.
So I think let's practice that.
Yeah.
And then after we practice that, we'll reconvene.
I've been climbing for 25 years, and I started at my college climbing gym in Washington State. I teach rock climbing guides, the Professional Climbing Guides Institute. There's enough climbers in the Indian climbing community that they have the collective resources to now do this bolting project is a great example.
Remember guys, we're doing hammer drilling when it comes to the hole. And then you have to check what is better for the rock, yeah?
There were a lot of things I had no idea about: the quality of bolts, the material that they're made from, and like how you're not supposed to mix two different materials together. So all this information is something that I got to learn through this course, and I think it's important for everybody to know or learn what this process is, because it's kind of like, after all, you're going to hang on to these.
I am a professional climber since 19 years now, and I am here in Badami for my fourth time. I was invited now by Ola, so I came here for help, to give my energy and try to do the best. You guys have very beautiful rocks here, a lot of potential. It can be thousands of routes here. This kind of things happening, like people unite to build 20 new routes, I think is good when you make it in a responsible way, like the girls did here, you know.
Don't slide this under tension. Just to kind of like stand on the ledge and like hop up a little bit and then slide.
ನಮ್ಮ ಪೂರ್ವಜರೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಾದಾಮಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೂರ್ವಜರೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದೇ ಇದು ಕಲ್ಲು ಹೊಡಿಯೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಮತ್ತು ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟೋ ಕೆಲಸ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಮುಂಚೆಯಿಂದನೂ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದನೂ ಹಂಗೇ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಇದು ಮುಂಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನೂ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಏನೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ ರಾಜರ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಅಂದರೆ ಕುಲಕಸಬು, ಅವರು ಯಾವ ಜಾತಿ ಸೇರಿರೋದು ಆ ಜಾತಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಹಂಗೇನೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ತಾತ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪನೂ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ವರ್ಕೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕ್ಲೈಂಬಿಂಗು ಮತ್ತು ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಒಲವು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಕ್ಲೈಂಬ್ ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್. ಕ್ಲೈಂಬಿಂಗ್ ಗೈಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ವೆಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಲಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೈಡ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೆಲಸ ಸಿಗೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ. ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೆಲಸ ಸಿಗೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ.
Hey Shivaun, I think we could do like a community meeting and like explain to everyone in the group that this is something that has come up. How does everyone else also feel about it? Because this is like a very good example of figuring our way around ethics and what's okay to do, what's not okay to do.
I'm very surprised he didn't message me yet.
Okay, he's calling.
We're calling you like I've heard how much you bolted here and how much you've been involved in bolting here, and I'm actually quite surprised that we didn't connect it before yet. Yeah, another thing that we have to address, like I've seen you send the list of routes that you made it like as things that you want to bolt. Why do you mind other people bolting those routes if they are the most beneficial for Badami?
So it has put a lot of stress on us to feel like, oh my God, like what do we do? You know, if we go ahead and do this, we're obviously going to upset him. If we don't do it, then it's kind of not fair, because now we're telling people, no, you can't touch this whole section of the wall. It's been extremely like difficult to figure out what the right thing to do is.
We've worked so hard on this project for the last 2 months, collected money, like slogged our balls off, and then they're going to destroy our roots. And that's something that that's the worst out of everything, right? We've lost completely at that point. So now let's look, what are the other areas we're looking at? Let's just move on.
Here in Badami, we're surrounded by temples and such historic sites. Rocks are scenic, and to take a drill to them and put up like what we think, you know, is great for our sport, we really need to think a lot about that before we do that.
Let's start here. Just started. There's like a groove.
Us putting up routes, or anyone putting up routes, you're telling people to go there and climb there, but that's bringing traffic to areas that didn't have that traffic before, and that comes with its own issues.
I like the one with the rock in between the...
Can we go there?
Yeah, let's...
we have to see this as a service at the end of the day, that we're sort of opening lines for everyone, and no one person here could do what we're all doing together. I think that's the key thing to remember and to go back to. Found this beautiful crag and it attracted us. We were so drawn to it. As climbers, we could see its potential, but we were also awestruck by its beauty and this kind of sense that it brought to us, like, to be nestled there in between rocks, to have multiple faces. And, we were really excited about its potential.
It's definitely a very good crag for beginner climbers. There's quite a lot of climbing it's super easy. Like people who didn't climb too long, they would be very happy to climb here.
In this sort of environment, what you're doing is you're learning step by step. You build your solid foundations and you just keep building on that foundation.
You can bolt routes up, which then can be used by other people. And it's a growing sport, and you want to do everything in your part to help it grow. Because, it's given me so much, so I want to give back.
I obviously don't like drilling holes into millions of years of rock. But one way I would justify it for myself is I'm trying to open something up which is going to be very more beautiful than just looking at it. Climbing it would get him or her more closer to its beauty, to the nature.
I think when we come out here and we touch rock, it really makes you feel connected. It's strange to think that you need to go to these lengths to feel connected with yourself, but somehow rock makes that happen.
I just have to be really careful of this too. You want to be more on the right?
The skills that I thought I was lacking was not the actual drilling the bolt in, but how to go about the entire process. You need to look at, what the fall is like. Will they hit something? There are so many factors to analyze. And so for me, that's the skill that I really wanted to learn.
I got to know about this bolting initiative, that the plan is to bolt here. And among other things in the post there was a request for volunteers.
Anybody need a chair?
Nice checklist that people can just refer to on bolting ethics in this area. So for that, we thought the best way to do that was to have an open discussion led by Ola. And when we agree certain things, we can note them down throughout the next few days and then develop our document based on that.
Your bolting, it's a service and a selfless service, or you want something out of it. I've seen so far on our bolting course, no one is keen to do plus a cent. I'm really surprised.
I was discussing it with one of a senior person who has been climbing and bolting. In that conversation, the only thing that came out was that this concern that what kind of training and mentorship will be provided. Will they be aware of the ethics with regard to bolting?
Naming routes in these areas to be really culturally sensitive. Yes.
That person doesn't really agree to our cultural convention, so we might not talk to him. But making people agree to certain things.
No, but you can.
It's about freedom of expression also, right?
All of these things, some people will find it good, some people will find it bad. We're not saying someone has to follow that. It's not a set.
India, I think checking and cleaning the holes are important here because the community is just growing. It's There's no like, there are no ranges.
Yeah, there are no restrictions.
I mean, we have Dave, but like after 1 week he's gone.
You never know what's gonna happen to this place if someone dies tomorrow. Like maybe the government gonna come out and it's like, fuck that shit. Let's stop climbing completely. Yeah.
You can count how many people have tried. Like in your fingers, you can trick.
Obvious trad climbs, don't bolt them.
Should we finish for now?
Yeah.
Because we could keep going for another hours. We can meet one more time to.
As soon as the community bolting part started, that's when it sort of hit me. I was like, oh, we actually don't have a lot of days left. We have told everyone that we're going to hit at least a minimum of like 20 or more routes. I definitely then felt a little bit of that pressure. I think we need to, you know, still stay somewhat focused and make sure we you know, get that target, at least the minimum target.
What I want to share is that bolting is really hard. We've all had sun damage, we've all got a fever, something or the other. We decided to come to Badami thinking February would be nice and cool, but it's 37 degrees and all of us have decided to drill in the sun.
This is our makeshift ice box. The conditions in Badami are super hot right now, and we're working with glue, chemical glue for the anchors here.
First goes to Ravi, after Ravi it comes to. They passing to each other, to Tanvi, to Gowri. They passing it to Yash. Yash passing it to Dave. Dave passing to them. Them passing it back to Dave. They passing to Yash. Yash passing to you. Okay. You passing to me. I'm passing to that. Yeah.
We had 6 people,
hanging on 6 different anchors.
7 with Rowan, hanging on the rope, getting ready to glue in bolts.
All your holes are clean?
Yes.
All your bolts are clean?
Yes.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1.
The reason why this was a crucial moment is because the nozzle, if you don't use it quickly, the nozzle also hardens. What the hell?
Number one reason why it was stressful for me is because it's the first time I'm doing something like this, right? Another thing is that right now we have the whole community watching us, right? We've put it out there for the world saying, hey, we need money. So they've given us money, gear, trust. That's stressful in itself. We have to deliver. There's no way out.
Yeah, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
Only one is broken.
Okay, it's on. Alright, everyone on position.
Every morning we have to go on this hunt for ice around the town and just try to find someone with a cart of ice cream or something. Once the ice comes, we have to make sure that the glue is cold enough.
It looks nice. Are you sure it won't bite? Yeah, it won't bite, Shivaun. What's it called? Sorry? Nagarjuna Sagar Racer.
It was an all-girls team of 4 women. There are very few times where we lead things like this. It was kind of taking that first jump into, hey, we're doing this.
I think climbing needs to see more women generally, if I'm honest. People need to see someone like them succeeding and doing well in climbing and bolting and things like that and be like, oh, this is something that I can do.
Perspective of people in general also, like, because when we were doing the big wall expedition, like 90% of the people were just doubting our capabilities, that, you know, we're not going to be able to do it. And like even when we completed it, there were people talking behind our backs. Probably they like just climbed on the rope. They were like pulling themselves on the rope, and that's how they did it. But then later on they saw the film, like we actually climbed it.
I do not know of initiative or a group or a lot of women who bolt.
ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಲೇಡೀಸ್ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ ಬೇರೆ ಆ ಥರ ತುಂಬ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ನು. ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದನೂ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೂ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಾನೆ ನನಗೆ ಬೇಸರ.
I think just the pure fact that, okay, women are doing this actively is such a big deal. And I see it as us becoming like role models to show that women can do this, right? It's that all of us can do this. Men, women, like all of us together, we can do this.
Insane, because the first nozzle we wasted because we essentially didn't know how to use it. The second nozzle we managed 2 anchors. The third nozzle we managed 4 anchors. And now we managed 6.5. And that was the final thing. We finished all the glue and we've done 20 routes with the exact amount of glue and the exact amount of anchors that we had. Only 20 routes.
I feel so good. This is insanity. I can't believe that.
I think this whole thing is sort of like for us to do things together. If we keep going, we'll be able to do, I think, 30. We have the gear. There's some gear that is still on the way.
Here you have 2 lines. One here, one here. This one is maybe 60 plus 7A. It goes to the anchor, the short anchor. Yeah, Ravi bolted.
I'm rock climbing guide from here. Every route is good, and beginner also doing, professional also doing.
ಇವಾಗ ಹೊಸ ರೂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಹೊಸ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪವರ್ ಅಂತಂದು ರೂಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಹತ್ತಕ್ಕೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಹತ್ತಿ ನೋಡಿದೆ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಎಲ್ಲ ವಾರ್ಮಪ್ ರೂಟ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು.
We scouted a new area, like all of us together, and Ravi has named it the POWERSTAR sector. Gowri can explain why.
Asked Ravi like casually, like, oh, you know, if they ask you for like a name suggestion, what would you name the area? And he immediately was like, POWERSTAR. And then he explained that it would be in memory and of Puneet Rajkumar and like for him. Apparently all of Karnataka calls him POWERSTAR. Puneet Rajkumar is like the god.
So there's two sets of people, okay? The winners, which is me, who we go for a beer, and everyone else who goes and has vegetarian food.
Our aim really with this was to make it more inclusive, to invite people from all over who are lacking the confidence, lacking the mentorship. And part of that goal was to find a mentor, someone like Ola. I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to learn with her. The first rule of bolting that she taught us was to know when not to bolt. And the best thing that she's done for us is to help us become more independent, so we don't doubt ourselves anymore.
Success, success, true success, true success.
Already when I'm thinking about it, I feel so happy. This random conversation that me and Gowri and Shivaun has turned into this is wild.
I want to climb my roots now.
You can climb now, guys.
Yeah!
Would I do this again? Give me about a year or so. Let me take a break.